Kansas City Royals last year, if you could pull up their win-loss record from last year, that'd be great, because it has been a massive jump up for the Kansas City Royals, and now they are in spitting distance to win their division. It is very tight. It is between them. It is between Cleveland, and they are looking pretty good, man.
Bro, they were 56 and 106.
Yep.
That's insanity.
Yep.
That's insanity. So looking at their entire team, how did they get from 56 wins to what they at right now? Which is, I think they were tied for first place in the AL Central with the Guardians. They just lost a game. Guardians won a game, so they obviously flip-flopped. But they're at 75 right now, so they smashed last year's record. So, think about who the guys they added. Bobby Wood obviously became an MVP. I look over at their team right now. Vinny Pasquantino is actually starting to become a dude. He's doing a lot better than he was last year. Then they have just overall support characters. You got Perez, who's still doing good this year. The offense it's doing great lately. That's why they've been on this surge. But honestly, the big difference, and they did a lot of sneaky stuff in this offseason, they added a ton of pitching that a lot of guys weren't really thinking about. They traded for Cole Reagans a year ago, and he's breaking out, and he's becoming a great pitcher. Seth Lugo, I think he was on the Padres last year. He's continuing his great dominance, going from a bullpen guy to an everyday starting pitcher. He's one of their better pitchers on the team. Then you got Michael Wacha, solid. Brady Singer is finally hatching it out. They actually got a legit rotation.
That's the thing, man. Their starters are right up there with the best of the league right here. I'm looking at Reagans, Lugo, Singer, and Wacha. Every single one of those guys, the lowest amount of innings pitched there is from Wacha at 139, and the highest is at 172. So on average, they've all pitched around 150 innings. So you are literally looking at, what does that math work out to be? 600 innings from these guys, from those four guys right there. 600 innings so far, of extremely quality pitching, because every single one of them has a low 3 ERA. That is not something that I would have anticipated from, Brady Singer and Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo.
Never.
I would not have thought that coming into the season, and this is the difference here. This is the difference, is that effectively every single time that one of these four starters gets onto the bump, you are giving your offense an opportunity to win. You look at their win-loss records. Michael Wacha's 11-6, Seth Lugo's 14-8, Cole Reagans 10-8, right? You are picking up wins more times than not when these guys step onto the bump. So, it's not like you have a Tariq Skubal level of dominant ace right here, but you don't need it, because top to bottom, it's quality every single time.
And that's going to get you through the regular season. We saw it with the Jays. You get through the last year.
Right.
You see it gets you through the regular season. I am looking at their relief pitching, though. It ain't that good.
I know. Yeah, that is the big problem.
They're 25th ranked in reliever ERA at 4.36. That's the one thing that's going to hurt them if it comes down to the postseason and they're facing Aaron Judge in the 8th and Cole Reagans is out of the game. It's a tie ball game, and they got who God knows what in there. And boink, homer. He left one over the plate. That's going to be the difference maker.
I'm not I guess a Kansas City connoisseur or anything. I don't know all of the ins and outs, but I would hope that once you make it into the postseason, that a lot of those guys in that bullpen that have contributed to you being so poor, they're not ever going to see the field type thing. And I know that, it's we got to pitch innings and stuff like that, but you are only using the best of your best type of players right here. It's not like you're going to have a Trevor Richards type guy hit the field, unless, of course, you really
Well, you can pick him up. He's DFA'd now.
He is. He is gone.
DFA'd.
He is gone.
But, so basically what you're saying is the game plan is have all your starters
overwork
go 7 or 8 innings and be dominant. Because his thing is if they start getting, that's the thing about postseason, if they start falling apart early.
Well, if they start falling apart, you're done. Yeah, you're done.
So you have to be perfect.
Yeah, you got to, and the few good guys that you do have in your pen, get ready, boys. Get ready.
Yeah.
Your arm's going to fall off after October, because we are going to overwork the hell out of you.
It's I know you weren't watching this World Series, but it's like when the Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman and they literally pitched him so much.
Yeah.
Like every other game.
That's what it's got to be.
Like,
you know?
And like he literally, there was a documentary that Rolls Chapman's like, I literally felt like my arm was on fire every day.
Well, I'll tell you. Yeah, listen, man. I haven't seen that documentary, but I would imagine that after getting a ring and winning the chip,
felt great.
he was probably okay with it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And he's fine now. He's still old and doing great.
Oh, dude. I mean, Aroldis Chapman's
100.
probably a Hall of Famer. It'd be close, right? Have to look at his baseball reference again, but like he's been around for a minute, man.
Is Aroldis Chapman a Hall of Famer?
It would be pretty close, man. Again, think about it too, like just from a velocity standpoint as well. Like that people would find that to be really sexy, having like some of the hardest thrown baseballs in the history of the game, having some incredible years with multiple different teams, winning a chip. It's possible.
I mean,
it's possible.
325 career saves.
That's a lot of saves.
A career ERA of 2.60. He's won 2 World Series, 7-time All-Star.
How many years has he been in the league?
He's been in the league for
12, 13?
15 years.
15 years.
Wow.
I think that's Hall of Fame to me, man.
I'd say he's definitely on the ballot.
I think that's a Hall of Fame guy right there. But, I mean, going back to Kansas City right here, yes, it is going to be very difficult if you get into those close, tight affairs and, your starter does need to leave in the 5th or the 6th. But I like what I'm seeing. I think that the Kansas City Royals are arguably one of the more exciting teams in baseball right now, especially with Bobby Witt Jr. What you guys did in the offseason, bringing in some of these players and then kind of transforming their careers and turning them into the guys that you currently have, especially in that rotation, this is like the first domino for me of what I would hope to see, moving forward, right? You look at that American League Central. And the Cleveland Guardians are good, but I still think that this is a division that could be up for the taking for years to come. Like, there's no dynasties in there. There's no Houston Astros. There's no New York Yankees.
And I
you
think,
could assert yourself as the alpha dominant force.
And I think they're never kind of, no offense, I think they're never kind of will be because they're not like a high, like a lot of these teams don't have like high payrolls because like no offense, like their fan bases aren't as big, they aren't as big team, they're a big market team. Like the Guardians rely on a lot of their youth. The Royals have been from time to time.
They have.
When in 2015, like they had the whole team together and then like they all disbanded, like they couldn't pay for those guys. Then they went to a massive rebuild. Twins literally didn't trade for anybody because they had payroll issues. Like that's why they only traded for Trevor Richards at the deadline. Like they just couldn't do it. And then the Tigers have been from time to time, but I don't know what's going on with them. Actually, low key, while we're on that topic, Tigers.
I know.
Are cooking.
I know.
8-2 in their last 10. No one's talking about it. I saw a post on Talking Baseball. And, like, they haven't been posting about the Tigers at all. And, like, everyone in the chat's like, yo, why is no one talking about the Tigers? Like, they're actually cooking right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're 8 games back of the division. And, essentially, you got to overtake you have two AL Central teams in the wild card. So you got to overtake the Twins. And they're 4.5 games back.
Well, dude, from a Detroit Tigers standpoint, if you can just finish above 500 at the end of the year, I would consider that to be a W, especially considering you did sell off Flaherty.
Yeah.
And you've managed to hold on to Tariq Skubal as well, who has been phenomenal. I do want to get into that entire conversation in a moment, but I will say about those Kansas City Royals, they got that Patrick Mahomes money now, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's part-time. I think he's part-time
owner. You think Patrick Mahomes could fund a winning team on his own? I don't think so.
I certainly don't think so. However, I will say, I mean, I guess the guy's a little busy winning Super Bowls and all that shit.
Yeah.
But when he retires, I could totally see when he retires, like him being one of those guys, because he's just hyper competitive individual, right? Now, getting really deep into like the ownership stuff. I could see him like, turning into one of those guys.
Well, it's wild. Like I feel like with all the ownerships and players, and I like when seeing players trying to get into it, they have to almost like come together and fund a team because like individually they can't do it. They got to get like a group of guys together. Like the whole Jeter trying to like get in there into a piece of the Miami Marlins, and that didn't work out too well.
No,
Jeter was one of the best, So
yeah.
I feel like he's got to get the whole Chiefs squad together, him and Kelsey, and Taylor Swift.
Also, I don't know if it would have any like it would do anything for him, but because he's a Kansas City Chiefs, quarterback and stuff, and they obviously would love him in Kansas City. Maybe they let him in more. Maybe they give him more of a conversation there. I don't know. I'm not sure.
He can do whatever he wants, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's kind of rich, so
yeah,
won a couple Super Bowls.